Hi everyone, welcome back to Techno Labs. Today we will see another control diagram named state machine. So what is a state machine and how it is implemented in the real life example? That is what we are trying to look into here today. Okay, so how you choose a project layout. The state machine provides a modeling style with which you can model your workflow, and it is an event based or event driven layout. So we have a finite number of states which are stable and it go through in different workflows. Okay, so when to use the state machine? There are two scenarios wherein we use the state machine. One is when there are a finite number of clear and stable states to go through in the workflow. The best example for the state machine in UiPath is RE framework. There you can see there are initialization event like processing. So there are different states for the layout, for the project layout. Okay, so the second use or when to use is when there are continuous workflow that are more complex. So these are the two scenarios wherein we try to choose the state machine workflow. So what are the advantages? Advantages is transitions between states can be easily defined and provide flexibility. It can accommodate processes that are more complex and cannot be captured by simple loops and if statements. It allows the user to cover all the possible cases or transitions. Okay. And what is the disadvantage? It is more complex than the sequence and the flow chart. And it needs longer development time. Okay. So what is a state machine? The definition here is a type of automation that uses a finite number of states in its execution. Okay, so when it comes to the properties of state machine, it should contain only one initial state and at least one final state and one transition, but it's possible to have multiple final state. So if you see here, you can see there is a start, then you can see the initialization, different processes or different states, I should say. So initialization, get transaction data, process transaction, end process. So there are different states for a state machine. Okay. So when you define a state machine, you should remember that we should have one initialization or initial state for sure, at least one final state and one transition should be there. You can have multiple final states also. So that is a major point you have to take care about when you define the state machine. So when you see the activities in the state machine, you can say state, initial state, final state, entry, exit, and transition. So we will come into these points when we do an example. Okay. So entry. Entry means action that occurs when the state is transitioned to. When a workflow instance enters a state, any activity in this entry action executes. What is defined in this entry action that will be executed? Exit is activity executed when exiting the state. When a transition to another state is confirmed, the activities in the exit action are executed. And transition, it represents the transition between the two states. It displays all the transition linked to the selected state. It is used to add condition based on which it jumps from one state to another. So this is how the state machine, these are the different activities we have in the state machine. We will see an example quickly. Okay. So let me open UiPath. Let me open a new process. I'm giving the name as state machine learning. Okay, it opened the project. Now let me create a state machine. So here, new, go to state machine, state machine program 1. Okay. So when you open a state machine workflow, you will get a start activity by default. Okay. Now go to the activities. Here just type state. You will see the workflows associated, the activities associated with the workflow state machine. So here you can see it is state, final state, and state machine. I'm going to use a state. So this will be the initial state. See, normally the initial state, the state is used to define the initial state or different states in which the programs will go through. And final state is the final step. So normally the initialization of all the processes, all the variables or everything, whatever initialization is going on will happen in the initial state, and killing of the process or closing of the process will happen in the final state. That is how the normal program structure goes into. Okay, so initial state, start and state. Okay, so when I connect here, it will say that state must have at least one transition. Okay, just like I defined in the beginning, we should have one initial state, at least one initial state, one final state, and a transition. So here we get the error. Okay, so let me define here. So what I'm going to do here is we can give an option for the user to enter 3 values. Say for example, we have 3 numbers, and we are trying to find which is the greatest number. A is having some value, say for example 100. B is going to carry some number 200. C is going to carry some number 300. Okay, so we need to find which variable is having highest value. Okay, who is holding the highest value? This is what we are going to do. Okay, so let me rename this as initial state. See, when you open the initial state, you can see entry, exit, and transition. Okay, so what we have to do in the entry, you have to give the drop, you have to add the activity here. So let me add another activity. I'm going to take the input from the user. So I'm going to add input dialog to get the value from the user. Okay, so input dialog, first number, I'm going to give the title as first number. Input label, I'm going to give enter the first number. Here input type is text box. Okay, and value entered will be stored in a variable. I have to create a variable, control K. I'm going to give it as first number. By default, the value created from the input dialog box will be a string type. You have to change it to integer. Okay. So one input dialog box I have created. I have given the title of the dialog box as first number and the label as enter the first number. Input type is text box. We have another option as multiple choice. Here I have chosen as text box. And the value which is entered by the user will be stored in first number, this variable. Okay. Similarly, I'm going to create another dialog box to enter the second number. So here the title will be second number. I'm going to input the label as enter the second number, and input type will be text box. Value entered will be stored in another variable named second number. Okay, change the variable type to integer. Okay, now let me enter the third variable. Input dialog box. I'm giving as third number. Enter the third number. Same here. Control K, and I'm going to say it's a third number. Okay, so change the variable type to integer. See, by unknowingly I created one variable named variable 1. If you want to remove the variables which are not in use, I'm not going to use this variable. So what you have to do is remove unused variables. See, that variable 1 is gone. Now let me change the scope of this to StateMachine program, that is highest level. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I have initialized. What I have done here is, in the initial state, I have created 3 variables to accept the 3 values from the user and store it in these particular variables. Now the initialization of 3 variables is done. Now what I'm going to do is I have to check whether this variable, which variable is having the highest value. So what I'm going to do is, let me have a transition. You just click here. You can add to the self state. Okay. So now the transition, you got the transition state. Now in the transition, you can see there is a trigger, there is a condition, there is an action. So when this condition occurs, it will go to this action. That is what it is going to happen. Okay. So I'm going to check here which number, first number greater than, give me a second. And first number greater than third number. Of if the first number is greater than the second number and the first number is greater than the third number, then the biggest number will be first number. So in the action, I'm just going to display the value just to see what will be the outcome. Okay, let me place one message box here. I'm going to display the first number is greater than other 2 numbers. Okay, and now I have to display first number. Control tab, you will get the values displayed. Enter. You have to convert it to toString. Okay. So this is completed. Now go back to the program. So here you can change the properties. First name, display name, first number. Okay. Now moving to the second transition. Here I'm going to give the condition. Here it is. Second number greater than third number. Okay, if the second number is greater than third number, then I'm going to display second number is greater than the first and the third number. I'm going to display the second number as well. Dot to string. Okay, see here, now you can see the error displayed here has vanished. So let me change the name. 42 is second number. Okay, so the first transition. Okay, so first number, you received the first number. Here you will get the second number. Let me go with the third one. Okay, third transition. So here, okay, second condition is this is the third number. Condition. Second number. Go to message box. Okay. So now let me try to run this program. So it is asking for the first number. I'm entering it as 200. Now it asks for the second number. I'm going to enter it as 100. Now it will ask for the third number. I'm going to enter it as 50. Okay. So here you could see the first number is greater than two numbers, and it is the value displayed is 200. Okay. So it will go for the second round because it didn't reach the final state. Okay. So here I'm going to give the value as 50. Now the second value will be let me give it as 100, and now I'm going to give value 200 for third number. So it will reach the final state now. If you go and see the state machine, you can see the third number we have defined in the final state. So it will reach the final state now. Okay. The third number is greater 200, and now it will end the program. Okay, so it reached the final state. So what happened here is we started the program, it went into initial state. Here it asked for the numbers, 3 numbers. So we entered 3 numbers. Okay, so what it happened after that, it went to the transition. So in the transition, here it verified the condition whether the first number is greater than second and third. If that is the case, then it will display the first number. Okay, so this is a true condition. If it is false, it will go to the next condition. Okay, so here if it is in the first value, say for example I have entered here, let me give a value 200, B equal to 100, and C equal to 50. This was the value I have given. So what happened? It entered into the transition 1. It displayed the value. The output was displayed as 200. As 200, and it mentioned A is the greater. A is greater. Okay. Here in this example it was first number. First number is greater. Okay, so it is in the transition 1. It didn't reach the final state here, right? So what happened? The program ran once again. It asked for the input again, and when we give the input, I gave A as 50 and B as 100 and C as 200. So what happened? In the transition 3, I have mentioned if the third number is greater than first and the second, it will display the message. So here the condition was true. It reached the final state and closed the program. Displayed the message, displayed the action. Action was to display the message. Okay, then it closed the program. It closed the program. Okay. If actually it didn't execute the second number, right? This transition was not executed. So to execute that, let me give another value. Okay, so here what we will do, C should be 200, right? So first number I'm going to give us 100. Second number I'm going to give us 200. And third number I'm going to give us 50. So here what will happen? It will go into the second number, this transition loop. It will run the action. It will go check the condition. If it is true, then it will display that. Okay. Second number is greater. And now what happened? It will again request for the input. Since it didn't reach the final state, it will again ask for the input. So I'm going to give 100 for the first number. Second number I'm going to give us 20. Third number I'm going to give us 50. Now it will come to transition 1. First number is greater. That will be the value. First number is greater. Okay. Again, it will ask for the input till it reaches the final state. It will go on, keep on asking the input. So now I am going to give 100. Now I am going to give 200 here. Third value, I am going to give the highest value and it will exit. Okay. Okay, now it will exit. Okay. So this is how it changes its different state in the state machine. Thanks for all your time. Have a nice day.